What's up, guys? Flippin' Steve here with a video on my way to work. Got to jam this video in here because I want to get more content out for you guys, so I got to be able to multitask and use my time wisely. And today I'm going to be talking about my dilemma for my end game for cards that I've been buying and my plans for those cards in the future. Before I get into that, guys, we're a week away from the Philadelphia show. This is going to be my first show of the year, so I'm going to be in Philly next Saturday with Dustin, the sports card dad. He's coming up to visit, and we're going to go to that show. Come on out to the Philly show if you're in the area, the tri-state area, you know, Philly or Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Northern Maryland, or if you're just someone who flies around to all the shows. It's a pretty good show, so come on out. Should be fun. Also, guys, I have the giveaway for the Mosaic NBA Blaster. I'm going to do that in a short. I don't normally do shorts. It's going to be my first one. And I'm not talking about shorts like clothing, like short YouTube clips. And I will announce the giveaway for the Mosaic Blaster. If you didn't get entered, go back and watch my previous video and get yourself entered. Just by participating, you'll be entered. All right, so my dilemma, guys, is recently I've been buying a lot of modern day quarterback cards. Young quarterbacks, modern cards from 2018 to now. Even some 2016, 2017 stuff. And my end game, because I'm very tactical when I buy cards, I always have a plan of how I'm going to move it, what I want for it, a time frame, and normally kind of an idea of who or where I might be able to move that card to. And that's where I slipped up this time, guys. It's where I slipped up because my plan was to buy these cards, and if they saw small increases, to use it as trade value. Okay, so if a card goes up 50 bucks, selling it once you give a deal to somebody or take your fees, you're really not going to make a lot of profit. But if you can get the full $50 trade value out of it, that's a way to cut into a card that you may want to use it towards. And to be quite honest, I've done well already. All the cards that I have bought, a majority of them anyway, have seen increases. Now, some have seen a 10% increase. But all the way up to 20 to 30% increases on some of these players' cards that I've bought. So I'm looking at, you know, I was buying the cards for about $200 to $250. They're starting to push up to the $400 mark on a lot of these. That's kind of the ballpark that I'm playing in right now. And I'm starting to see, hey, I'm making some profits here, and I can trade out of these now. My goal was the national, but you audible if things happen and you don't get greedy. So I'm thinking about moving some of these now, and we're approaching the Philly show. And one of the cards that I want to end this year with is a 1952 Topps Willie Mays. You guys have followed the channel, you know I really want one of those cards. And this is a good vintage show to go to find a card like that. And I just want a low grade, something like an SGC 1.5 or a PSA 1 or maybe up to a 2 if I could. If I could really find a good value on like a 3 or something, yes. But I just want this card to be put away with my collection. The bigger problem that I have is I didn't plan ahead as to who I'm going to obtain this card from. And I'm not someone who dabbles a lot in vintage. I'm not the vintage person. I'm not to ask a lot of questions about vintage. But one thing I do know about vintage is that the dealers don't like to negotiate much off of their prices. And the dealers don't trade for modern cards. Vintage dealers want more vintage cards. That's their that's what they do. So if I go to a vintage dealer with a bunch of modern quarterbacks and try to trade, it's not going to happen. So there goes my trade value and the things that I've been buying to try to move into a card that I want. And in the beginning, I didn't put together that, oh man, the card that I want is a vintage card. Maybe I should be using or buying more vintage cards to try to get into this card, as opposed to I was just finding cards that I thought would see increases. Yes, could I sell and make a little bit of profit off of it? Yes, but not quite the amount that I would get in trade value, if you understand what I'm saying. So my dilemma is finding someone who deals modern that is going to maybe happen to be sitting with a vintage Willie Mays 1952 Topps in the eye appeal and such that I want it to be. So there we go, guys. I'm not sure what I'm going to do now, other than maybe just bite the bullet and get that Willie Mays card cash, and then move the modern day quarterback cards that I already have And, you know, at the National for the trade night, that was kind of the goal. But I'm starting to see the increases in the cards, and that makes me want to move maybe a little bit sooner as opposed to waiting all the way to July. So what are your thoughts? Do you ever trade with vintage? Do you do vintage deals? Do you know vintage dealers that also do modern? Every once in a while you will find modern dealers or dealers that deal mostly in modern that do have vintage cards, but it's very difficult to find that on the other side of the coin. All right, guys, that was just my thoughts for today. Make sure when you're doing your end game for your purchases, you think everything through, because this one is one that kind of just skipped my mind. And now I'm sitting and I'm thinking, yeah, I have increases in the values of the cards that I've been picking up, which is absolutely great, but the card that I want is not something I'm going to be able to obtain through trade with these cards very easily, because now I got to find the specific person as opposed to going to a good vintage show and obtaining it through modern cards. Not going to be able to happen. All right, guys, make sure you like, subscribe on your way out. Check out the previous video if you want to get entered for the Mosaic Basketball Blaster. Hopefully I see you out at the Philly show or the next live stream or something. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Flippin' Steve.